All right, awesome. So what's happening? It's going crazy. All right. So recently I was working with a client building a couple of WordPress plugins for his website. Usually when you're working with WordPress, especially these plugins, the easiest way you can build the plugins is by using HTML, CSS, and JS. But the problem is that when you want to build something a bit more complex, it's not very elegant. The experience for building that is a bit it's not the best. So I wondered if there's a way that I can use React to build the plugin itself. So there was no direct or official way that's supported by WordPress. So I cobbled together this Boilerplate package that you can use to help you create a WordPress plugin with using React and Tailwind CSS. People just need to install this. So this is the video to explain the boilerplate. So just copy this command and go to your plugins directory. So ideally, when you're setting up WordPress, a WordPress plugin, you usually install have the plugin inside your plugins directory in your WordPress environment. So, for example, here we have, so I'm using MUMP. So I have MUMP running already locally. So on my local setup, here we have WP content, and then we have the plugins directory. So these are some of the plugins I already have on my app or on my WordPress environment, local environment. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to, I already have VS Code opened. So I'm already in the plugins directory. So I'll run that command. So it'll give you a couple of prompts that to get the details for that plugin. So for example, we'll create a zodiac signs plugin. Wait, what? No, let me run it again. Sorry. Yeah, so zodiac signs plugin. The title will be zodiac. The author. You can skip this if you want to. Package name. So this you have to provide. I'll call it astrology, assuming I have a couple of plugins for related to astrology. So I'd have them in a package called astrology. So astrology package. And then, so this is important, Tailwind CSS prefix. I'll explain why we need the Tailwind CSS prefix a bit later. So for mine, I'll have it as TSX, for example. That's the prefix that we're gonna use. So here you'll see we have the scaffolding created. So we'll look at the folder structure and some of the files just to get a bit of explanation of how it works. So I'll just open, get into the directory, zodiac signs, ls. So let's look at package.json. So I'm just gonna skim through it very fast. So some of the things that I'll need you to look at is, first of all, the dependencies that we're using, WordPress scripts, and a bunch of other dependencies. But I want you to look at the couple of scripts that we have here. So you have the build scripts, build and start script. That'll create the build folder for you. So it'll package your your source folder and create a build the build folder for you that you'd be that you can zip and then use in your WordPress site. So anyway, so we have those two. We have the Tailwind watch and build commands. That's basic Tailwind stuff. And we have this compile and build. That is just, we'll run build and then the build command to generate the build folder, and then also Tailwind build. This will generate the output the CSS styles from your utility classes. That's basically Tailwind stuff. So that's mostly it. We also have plugin zip that'll just package your plugin so that you can export it and use it, import it in your WordPress site just to use it there. That's mostly it that you need to know right now. So another file I want us to look at is Tailwind config. But before we even get to our Tailwind config, let's first of all install our dependencies, because it's going to take a bit of a minute. So let me let it run as I explain some other stuff in the process. In the meantime, so npm I, it's going to install the package, the dependencies. So let's look at Tailwind config. Remember, we were prompted for the prefix, Tailwind CSS prefix. So this is where it's going to be used. So there's this. Put a note on that. I'll explain why we have it here a bit later. But I need you to also note that we have this this key. So we have important. This, if you have played around with Tailwind for a while, you will note that we have especially related to CSS, you have CSS specificity. So that's it's a way that you can scope your styles to a specific section or section of your app, or just your app. So this is just related to CSS specificity, and you can read that more of that on Tailwind CSS docs or any other docs. So we have the selector strategy. When you add that, you just so this what am I saying? We're going to scope our styles to this ID. So this zodiac signs ID is where we're going to scope all our styles for. So just to also mention, we have core plugins. So core plugins, here we're disabling preflight. So preflight, if you've played around with Tailwind CSS, is I'll just go to preflight. So preflight just where is this? Preflight. Let's see. Preflight. Yeah, so preflight just sets the base styles for Tailwind CSS for your project. So it's just resets most of the stuff that come by default with when you create a HTML file. So it just resets all these things, all these styles to some base to the base styles. But what you note is we have disabled that. Why? I'll explain that in a bit. But if you look at our input file, our input.css that Tailwind uses, we have this on our base directive. What we're doing is we are scoping our styles to this ID again, to this ID selector, zodiac signs. And also on top of that, the preflight that we disabled, now what we do is we extend the base layer and then set all these preflight styles that we want ourselves. So this is some of the styles that I added myself, mostly from the preflight styles that are set by Tailwind CSS by default. So that's mostly it that you need to know at this point. So just maybe before I even run our app, our plugin, I can maybe show you the plugins that I have. If I refresh this is my local setup, my local WordPress setup. These are the plugins that I have. You can see I have zodiac signs. I think this is because I'm not sure. I think this is because I have it here. I have it here, yes. So if I even change the name, signs, it's going to change again here, but it won't work at the moment. So if I refresh my page, nope, sorry. Let me look at that. What is happening? It probably is rename Zodiac. We don't have the build folder yet, so I'm not sure. Is this coming from the some description? That is what I have created right now. I don't think it's going to work at the moment. Plugin file does not exist. Perfect. So what we're going to do is now npm run build. That's going to create our or let's just run start. It'll basically do the same exact thing, but in this case, we will watch our files for any changes. So now you will notice that we have our build folder here with our directory, Zodiac signs, and some of these files that are going to be used. So another thing we also need to run is the npm run tailwind watch. Sorry, I need to be in the Zodiac signs directory. If I run that, we're going to generate. So you'll notice that now we have an output.css that's going to have all our styles here now from our input file, from our source input.css. So if I come back here again, you will notice that now if I activate our plugin, boom, plugin activated. So let's maybe try and use it. So if I refresh this page, okay, I was testing if it works before. So if I come here and search for Zodiac signs, I can add it. And if I save, yeah, saved, and I open it on a new tab, you will see we have welcome to Zodiac signs plugin. Awesome. Now let's look at our source directory and how that is being handled. So if you look at our source directory, we have app.js. This is what has welcome to Zodiac signs plugin. That's what we are seeing here. Boom, that's our React app. Perfect. But how is it being rendered there? So what we do is if you've played around with if you've built plugins before with WordPress, you will notice this is the standard structure of a plugin. You have blog.json, edit.js, index.js, and render.php. So but that's not the entry file is usually here outside. So this is the entry file, Zodiac signs.php. So if you look at this, it has basic stuff about the plugin, but it also directs us to the build folder. So this is it just directs it that we're going to use this build folder here. This is what we're using. Boom. That's why we are seeing this. But I want us now to look at this block.json first and see this again here. Some of these scripts here have been defined. Sorry. So you will notice here that we have render. So render just tells PHP that we're going to use this file, render.php. That's the file that we are using for our plugin. So if you go into render.php, you'll notice that we just have this div with an ID, Zodiac signs wrapper. And the other thing to note, so this render.php is served from the server. On the client as well, vue.js this file is run on the front end. So when this is run, what happens is, in our case, we're just getting the Zodiac signs wrapper by ID. We're getting that ID from render.php, and that's where we are mounting our React app. Perfect. So that's why it's working. So we are able to use React. So from here on, it's just basic React stuff, and you can do whatever you want. So here we can say it is working perfectly. Save. And if you'll notice, that's why I ran npm start. It is watching our files, and also our styles are being watched as well. So if we just refresh here, boom, it's working perfectly. So now let's see how our Tailwind CSS is working as well. Remember, in our Tailwind config, I added this important but also we also added this prefix. Let's talk about prefix first. What is this prefix? So And why are we adding it? So the reason why we've added that is that we don't want, so when we have our application, our plugin is installed on our WordPress website, what and can end up happening is our styles can start getting overridden by styles from the website. So if you have like a style called H48, if H48 has been defined in the website as well, it can override this style and then start acting weird. So you can start noticing some styles are not working, or working very weirdly, or not working perfectly. So what we do in our case, sorry, the reason why we are prefixing now is because we don't want to override other people's styles. So in our case, if we have TSX 48, height of 48, we don't want to override someone else the website's styles, just in case they are using something similar. So that's why we are prefixing this. But the reason why we are also scoping it to an ID is because we don't want others to override our styles. So our styles, we want to be scoped to our own application, and we don't want our styles to also override the website's styles as well. So that's why we're using these two strategies: the selector strategy, and also prefixing our styles with this. And you can use anything when you're running the starter script, the boilerplate script. You can use whatever prefix that you want to use. I know it's a bit annoying, but that's how it is right now. So yeah, let's look at maybe do something. Let's turn this background to red, for example. See it working. So I would just use tsx bg red 500, save, boom, it's working perfectly. Nice. So now if you want to use this plugin, export this plugin, and so that you can import it in your WordPress plugin, WordPress websites, and use it there, you can run the other command that I talked about. If I go to package.json, plugin zip, so I can run npm run plugin zip. Oh, sorry, I need to be in the Zodiac Science directory and run that. Boom. And then we get this Zodiac Science zip folder. I know you might be wondering, since we're using React and it's just a plugin, are we making the is it going to be very bulky and make the site take long to load? So the best part about all of this is just look at the build folder, the size of this zip file. I mean, it's tiny. I'll just say that. So if you look at this, it is, what is this? 11 kilobytes, barely anything. So Zodiac Science, it's 10.66 kilobytes. So it's not going to affect your application in any way. Yeah, so that's mostly about this boilerplate that you can use if you want to use WordPress with React and style your plugin with Tailwind CSS. So that's this a bit about it. So cheers, until next time, bye. 19 minutes.